I see all these gyms because he goes to all the gyms in this area, and he's like, I don't like that new CrossFit vibe, you know, like, and then he's like, I like how this is like, you know, like old school like CrossFit, like how when we started. And he's like, and he sees like the new styles, like all the fancy ones, that they're like failing almost, you know. Like,
oh yeah, that's funny. He calls it a tribe. I like the word tribe. People used to call it a cult, but it's cool when you meet someone who's been doing it as long as you have, because they've seen like the growth. They see how gyms like they almost changed the CrossFit methodology, but still call it CrossFit, which call it what you want to call it, but I guess CrossFit's anything. But we all saw it. It went from CrossFit, let's show up, let's do a lift, let's do a WOD. Then I remember at one point, all these CrossFitters wanted to focus on weightlifting.
Like, oh, I need to get stronger.
Yeah, and it's like, well, are you doing CrossFit or are you doing weightlifting? Like, pick, which is not whatever, good for you, but don't make your CrossFit gym become a weightlifting gym. And then now I noticed the trend is like bodybuilding. Like everyone,
yeah,
even the gyms, they want to do bodybuilding. I'm like, well, okay, that's cool, but don't call it bodybuilding, call it CrossFit. You know, like, so I don't know. It's weird. I think that was one focus that I always wanted to keep was
CrossFit.
Keep it CrossFit. Like that's what I fell in love with in the beginning. That's what enabled me to like reach a higher level of competition and fitness and health, and then that's what I'm going to maintain. I'm not going to change it. Why would I change it if it's not broken?
Yeah, I feel like those coaches or gyms that deviate from it, it's cool to deviate and test different stuff, but I think the ones that deviate and stay there, like those are the ones that like they're not really doing CrossFit anymore. It's like,
well, what I see when gyms are trying to deviate, they're obviously like not successful with what they're doing. They're trying to find something that's going to work. Why is what you're doing already not working? You know, so at the end of the day, I feel CrossFit's no different than, well, running a CrossFit gym is no different than anything else in life, right? Like, it's not the external factors that's the problem. It's probably right here in front of your face.
Yeah.
So I think
that's how it goes with like anything, like where it comes with nutrition, all that stuff. Like people think it's it's this, but like you gotta look.
Yeah. So I think the guy that you mentioned, he said he liked the vibe here, and I'm on year 9 of running a gym, owning a gym, coaching, being like the head of a gym, and
I've seen you since that.
The vibe, and you've probably seen some changes, but recently I've told myself like I'm gonna treat it like it's year 1 again, because year 1 you're excited to do a hard workout, you're excited to turn the music on, throw some weights, whatever, do a WOD. And then over time, although it's getting old for me and routine for me, there's still new people coming in, and it's like you got to give them that same experience, or else their view on CrossFit is going to be way different than your view on CrossFit. Or like I said, I want to keep myself in that beginner mentality in terms of excitement and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
For the members' sake, but then in turn,
you don't want to ruin it for them.
I'm much happier now. Like I enjoy it more now.
Yeah.
Bringing that excitement back. Like how many snatches or cleans or pull-ups have we done? How's it going to be excited 10 years later? Like so, and now it is because I'm putting myself in that beginner's mentality again, and making sure that the person who walks in the door for the first time gets the same first impression that I had. And lately it's, not lately, I've been probably really focused on that like the last 2 years.
What do you think what do you think is different for you? Like, is that like setting the expectations of like how when a member comes in, like what's the change from like putting the way you feel like 10 years in doing CrossFit versus 1 year? Like when you say you started doing that the last 2 years, like what does that entail? Like,
well, so that's kind of like why I wanted to start these discussions. So like I said, I'm 9 years. I started in 2011, and when you have a gym that has 10 members, 20 members, 30 members, that's easy, right? You know everyone. You know everyone's ins and outs. You know everyone's personal lives, and then years later, when you have over 100 members, it's different, right? And then sometimes you're too worried about the logistics of running a class, the making sure everyone sets up in certain orders and making sure everyone has space and making sure obviously everyone's getting a good effective workout at the same time.
Hey, you can't sit up there, he has to do pull-ups there, like so like that.
Yeah. So then my mind goes elsewhere and it's not focused on the experience, it's focused on, okay, how is this gonna make my job easier, right? So then, you know, like, I don't know, some nights I was just like, okay, everyone got a good workout, but did everyone have a good time? Did everyone have a good experience? Did everyone take something home with them that they're going to bring back to the gym tomorrow? And I wasn't really satisfied with that side of thing. I always feel like we always get a good workout, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
So I made it a solid, I don't know, call it a resolution of, okay, let's go back to day one again. But now I have a lot more knowledge, so it's like, I don't know, I just wanted the experience to be the same. And I mean, you're 2 years in Pacifico CrossFit. You know, if you have a member who's been with you 5 years, to them it's not exciting sometimes anymore. It's just, oh, it's just what I do, you know?
Yeah.
But how can you keep that 5-year member or 6-year member excited still, you know? So little goals, like the challenges that we do, but then the main point I wanted to get to was, in this video, was it's hard to get this information across to a lot of members. So
yeah, so a class comes in, you're worried about running the class, and but then you see stuff like going on that a bunch of different stuff, whether it's like a beginner, a 5-year-old CrossFit athlete, but then if you have like a class of 20, you can't really communicate other stuff other than the class, and then before you know it, like everyone's gone, and you're like, wait, I didn't have a chance to say anything beyond that. And then I'm not even like 9 years in, and I'm starting to feel that, you know, like I feel like once the class goes, there's so much to think about as a coach that whether it's a safety issue like mobility, if it's a new member mixed in there, like you're trying to like explain why we're doing this, all that stuff, and before you know it, the next class is coming in, you're like, dang, I didn't really get to talk to that person. And so like, it's kind of crazy. I feel like it's like a whirlwind when the class goes, and it's like hard to get everything across. Yeah. And so I think that's cool that, you know, a different format to get the information out.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of unwritten rules and kind of like code of conduct in gyms that, you know, all the long-term members, they kind of already know. And sometimes those ones, they take advantage of it, right? They're like, oh, I know what the workout is. I'll show up 5 minutes late, and then new members come in, and then they're the ones that need this focus, and then, you know, everyone has to be on the same page. So I think like unwritten rules of CrossFit, right? Show up on time. Show up early.
That's the biggest thing, early for sure.
Make sure your bathroom is done. Make sure you're changed. Ready to go. Make sure your pre-workout is already shaken up.
A lot of times you'll see like, all right, guys, let's go over the workout. Let's huddle around the board. And the people that were here, like that 20 minutes, are like, hold on, I got to go to the bathroom.
Right.
You were here like 20 minutes.
Yeah. So show up on time. Make sure you're ready to go. I think I guess call it a pet peeve. I don't want to say things I hate as a coach, but pet peeve is, you know, we take these workouts seriously. We take running our classes seriously. Like you said, safety reasons, managing a time schedule. We can't run over our time. We program these workouts in order to finish in time for the next class to start on time.
And to maximize the hour too.
Maximize the hour. And so the second all these little delays start adding up, you know, sometimes we run late, and it's not anyone's fault, right? But for us, we're the ones that get stuck starting the next class late.
For, you know, the
and
whole
then
days is like back.
The last thing we want to do is rush a class. So attendance and tardiness, right, is obviously like number one. Number two, I would say effort. No one cares what your time was. No one cares what your score was. No one cares. Obviously we do, but no one cares what weight you lifted.
Do you still put scores on the board?
No, I stopped. Also, that's a good point, right? Like, what is writing your time on the board gonna do for you or anyone else? Is anyone looking at your time, or
Are you trying to be at the top?
the thing with CrossFit is like the workout you do tomorrow, you may never do that workout again. So why write your time on the board? You know, occasionally, like if we do a benchmark workout, we'll record those. Those are always good. That's how you track progress in CrossFit.
Yeah, like a 1K.
If we do friend today, like, all right, everyone record your time, save your time, put it in your phone, whatever you want to do. So next time we do this, maybe a year from now, you track progress. So effort, integrity. Integrity gets tossed around a lot. We all know if you're huffing and puffing, you're probably pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Movement, range of motion. You know, if your wall ball misses the target, are you going to count that rep? Or are you not? Squat depth, lockout, and then most importantly, like rep count. I get it. When you're tired, it's hard to think, but if you're missing your rep count day in and day out, like, okay, maybe we need to hold back on the intensity a little bit.
Or use a whiteboard.
Yeah. So those are like unwritten rules. Obviously, we promote effort and all that stuff as we're coaching. But when there's a big class, you can't hold everyone's hand. You can't count everyone and make sure everyone is really holding the standard fully. And then
I feel like that's not rep counting is definitely not a coach's job for sure. Making sure like depth, like if you see it, like call it out. If you're not moving correctly, call it out, fix it. But rep count, that's like if you want to do that work, that's up to you. And it's like if you want to cut reps. But
yeah. So that goes in line with like writing scores on the board. I know CrossFit states that it's observable fitness, right?
Yeah.
And recording stats and numbers but at the end of the day, if getting the fastest time in the gym is going to cause you to cut some reps or maybe go lighter than prescribed or whatever, then why?
I think it just takes one bad apple to ruin the whole bunch, right? So obviously a lot of people in CrossFit are competitive. Most people have the integrity, but if you have one person, and a lot of times we know who those people are, and a lot of times we don't. But it's hard to tell, but especially with the big classes, But like all of a sudden, if like just say a group of people find out that one person's cutting reps, and then that group of people is super competitive, then it's like, what's the point of this? It's like almost like a purpose.
It creates a bad energy, right? So
it's like, what the heck is going on? Like people don't even know how to deal with it.
Yeah, well, when someone cheats, like everyone knows, right? It's not like when you do it long enough, if someone finishes 50 wall balls in a minute 10, like, okay, a minute 10, come on. Like we know how long stuff takes, but that's on them, right? If someone cheats, like they're only affecting themselves, but the energy that it creates once people start finding out, there's a bad energy now, right? Like now there's a bubble around a certain person or whatever, and then everyone's just kind of like whatever. And you don't want that, right? You don't want anyone to be like pointed out or even like have a bad reputation in the gym.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like
what are you gonna do?
I guess it depends on the scenario, but that's that. I think that definitely changed for me going from like a smaller gym to a bigger gym. When it's a smaller gym, you could, like you're focused on people, you can call someone out, or occasionally I have classes of like 20 to 25 people. And you gotta imagine like there's a lot going on. Like
you need like a certain level of focus.
Yeah, I turn into like Terminator. Like you start scanning, like you have like this blurry scan. And then you look like okay, someone needs help here, and you get good at that over time. Like you can kind of like, the best quote is, you're looking for things you don't want to see and you're listening for things you don't want to hear. Because those are the people that either need help or want your help or are doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
But with that said is like, what about like things that are going good? Like
No, okay.
Yeah.
So that's on the other side. And anytime I have like someone coaching for me, I'm like, hey, like don't
Don't say the negative.
everything that comes out of your mouth should not be negative. Everything shouldn't be positive. But if there's a negative coming out of your mouth, it should always start with a positive, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has a technical error, say, hey, so-and-so, hey, great job with your hip extension, but on this next one, let's try to focus on this and that, right?
Over and all that
If
stuff.
it's always negative, 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 someone gets discouraged, or they, mentally could be like discouraging, or they could give up even, so that's our job to, have criticism, but not like in a demeaning way, so I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of things that go through our heads that sometimes
You're like, I gotta.
in your head you're like, okay, I know this, but maybe sometimes it's good to like let people know.
Yeah.
Then there's when it comes to like being a good member too, take what we say and apply it, right? How many times have you corrected someone's form and then they go back to just what they were doing?
Yeah.
So what does that say to you? I was like, okay, well, thanks for your help, but no thanks.
Yeah.
I get that when fatigue kicks in, a lot of things go out the window. But what about the next time you snatch, right?
Yeah.
Is that member still applying the changes you've suggested? But
there's one thing of like taking the criticism, not the constructive criticism, and like applying it, but then there's another thing of just saying like, nah, like I think this is better here.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we both competed like a lot, and I could see in the beginning how when I was at a peak competitive level myself, I transferred that competitiveness to my classes. So if someone cheated or someone like didn't give effort, I would get mad. Like it would affect my day. It would possibly like carry over into my attitude towards certain people even after that class. And that was, I think, one of the big changes I made. Like I said, like let's take myself to day one again.
Like the changes that you said.
And something I tell people all the time, because there are people who are competitive by nature. They keep missing a lift, or they keep missing a muscle up, or whatever, and they get mad. They're like, they throw fit tantrums.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely us.
And the thing I've been saying a lot lately is, hey, who cares, right? Like, this is your stress relief. Don't allow this to become your stressor, right?
Yeah.
Like, come in. If you can't do a lift, who cares? Like, take the weight down or move on,
Yeah.
So that's like one of the big changes the last couple of years when I said, make it positive, make it like day one again, is I have expectations for all members, and all it is effort and integrity and like an honest attempt to get better.
Yeah.
But I'm not holding them to the expectation of
the competitive standard right there.
If you're not working 100%, you didn't have a good day, some people had a 13, 14-hour shift. Some people
just want to sweat it out.
didn't get to eat at lunch today, or some people have kids, and I get it now. So if you show up, listen to me, let's put some effort in. If it's a bad day, it's a bad day. Come back tomorrow, let's do it again. We all have those bad days. Just like a lot of changes.
I remember vividly, you talk about how you were from day one, right? You talk about that day one. I remember your day one was when you first opened NOX, right? Back in 2011, was it June? I think.
June.
Yeah, June of 2011. That was my all-time most stressful, busiest time ever in my life. I look back, I'm like, when I was in it, I didn't feel stressed out. But looking back, I was like, dang, how did I get through that time? Being in school, all that stuff. But anyways, that was day one for me. And then I remember sometimes after your last class, we would work out, turn up the music, take pre-workout, drink a beer,
be there till midnight.
Be there till midnight, just throwing down, not worried about what numbers we're lifting. We're just hey, let's do this workout, turn up the music, and for me, that's what I try to remember. It's those are the best times. You don't worry about dang, I didn't get this time. Dang, I didn't do this. It's we got a good workout in. We were hey, this workout looks fun to do. Let's challenge ourselves and let's do it. And that's how it was for first, I would say, couple years, you know?
Well, I think that's like a testament to like our longevity.
Yeah.
It's I think we both got to the point at some point where we were CrossFit stressed us out, training stressed us out, that we had a lot of pressure to do well. But that was short lived. I would say maybe I had a year of that. And it was probably the worst CrossFit year of my life. Not in terms of my athleticism or my fitness level, but in my head, like I was stressed. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to do anything else except train. And if my whole life was like that, then I wouldn't be here doing CrossFit today, So,
Yeah.
Moral of the story: don't stress out about it. It's just a workout. The only expectations are in your own head, like whatever.
Yeah.
Move on, go about your day, and then 9 years later, I would honestly say I'm like the healthiest I've ever been, the most energetic I've ever been. Life is good. Like,
we didn't realize how drained we were, like competing at that high level, or trying to compete at that high level.
Yeah.
But then now it's like back to that day one again. It's
Yeah.
like, oh dang, it's like.
So then, yeah, for those who want to compete, though, I guess my biggest advice would be, well, figure out why you want to compete, right? If it's I want to challenge myself, I want to set my game up. Okay, great. Let's set our game up. Let's I'll help you as best I can. If your goal is to make the CrossFit Games or to achieve a high level of fitness, to be like at the elite level, well, one, are you willing to give the next 5 years of your life focusing on this?
Well, like Dio said, like there's two distinguishing factors.
Who's Dio?
Dio Salcido. So,
for anyone who doesn't know.
For those of you that, I didn't know you started recording. We're going all right? That's good.
30 minutes in.
For those that don't know who Dio Salcido is, he's a good friend now. He's a sports psychologist. He talks with us in small groups to kind of get our mind right, whether it's competing or just everyday life, whether you're trying to be a better person, a better athlete, a better pilot, a better teacher. So he says, he tries to ask people a question. He's like, hey, do you want to be the best you can be, or do you want to be the best? So that's what we're talking about, competing. With people that want to get to that CrossFit Games level, it's like, you got to be the best, right? So all the CrossFit Games athletes are pretty much the same. They just have, one stronger than the other, one's better at this, depends on what events come up. So they're basically, all those 20 to 40 people, they're the best. And the people that want to make it there, you have to be the best. And to be the best, you can't have any other thing in life going on. You can't have a strong family. You can't have, anything. Your focus has to be on that. If you look at anyone, like the best fill in the blank, like the best basketball player, if you talk to them, it's like, yeah, the people around them understand, they're supportive of it, so they kind of get it, but it's not a long lived.
You hear stories of Kobe Bryant. They have practice at 7 a.m. He's at the gym at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and then he's the last one to leave at night too.
But so that lifestyle you said that is required, when you're that person that wants that, it's not a big deal, right? Like, if that's all you want to do and you're fine with it, you're motivated to do it, like it's kind of good, right?
Yeah,
but
that's what you want.
If it's taken away, like you said, from family time, if you're not being able to pay your bills, and if your health and mental health is suffering from it, is it worth it? But
you got to realize when it gets to that point.
Right. And like I said, I got there 1 year, and it almost it almost made me call it on everything. And luckily for me, I didn't just react right away. It was a long process of thinking.
Yeah.
And then that next year was the best, most fun I ever had training again. So we're kind of like going around, but I think it's good topics. And coming from like two gym owners who have both been doing CrossFit for nearly 10 years, which sounds like a long time, but it's not, right? Like, there's different stages of our CrossFit careers, and
the learning's always there. The evolving factor is always there. I feel like for you, like you're continuing to evolve, and it's like if you try to stay the same, you can't stay the same.
Yeah. So for all our members, for anyone who's considering, the first thing I tell people when they come into my gym now is, one, it is hard work. So if you like to work hard, you'll love it. 2 is probably the hardest pill to swallow. It may take you years to achieve your goal, right? If someone comes in, they're probably motivated right now. They're probably thinking like, okay, 3 months, I want to lose weight, I have a vacation coming up, whatever. Like,
then what?
3 months is nothing. Like, and I'm real with people. I'm not a salesman. I'm not saying whatever it is to get them to sign up. I'm real. I'm honest. I say it's hard work, right? It takes time. The things you do outside of the gym are probably more important than what you're doing in the gym.
The 1 hour here, 4% of the day, right?
Yeah, and then like I said, the hardest one is, what's your goal? Oh, to lose 50 pounds. Like, okay. Well,
so would you say patience?
Are you okay to give the next 2 or 3 years of your life to achieve this goal? Or is it something you want right now? And like, I always base my response to their answer, right? Like, most people want it right now, right? We all want it right now. That's why we're here. But let's be real here. Like, if you lose 50 pounds in a week or a month, that's not healthy. And 2, you're probably getting it right back, right? So
one thing I realize is patience, right? So I feel like Peach, our mom, has taught us a lot of patience, but people don't understand the concept of patience. They think they do. So like, for example, I mentioned patience to someone that came in, they're like, oh, I have this, like a vacation coming up, but then after that, I still want to continue that. And I was like, then I mentioned the word patience. I was like, you just gotta be patient. And then they're like, yeah, I'm down to give it 3 to 6 months. That was their idea of patience. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like people got to reconstruct their idea of what that actually means. Like, you say 2 to 3 years, and that's like minimum.
Right. That's like, so I always use myself as an example. I had when I started CrossFit competing, I had a goal, and it took me my 3rd full year to achieve that goal. And I tell people, like, imagine if I would have quit after 3 to 6 months, I would have never even got close, right? So, my biggest advice, one, embrace the journey.
It's gonna be up and down, up and down.
Goals are great and all, but 1, if you reach that goal, then what? 2, if you don't reach that goal, then what? So I tell people, have your only goal to be to show up, regardless of how you feel, and to not give up. And to not give up, right? Talking about Peach, our mom, and even our dad. I remember, I guarantee you, in 2011, when they started CrossFit, they only did it to support us, right? Or to support me because I had a gym.
Yeah.
Dad wasn't walking like, oh yeah, let's go do CrossFit. He's like, oh shit, let's go,
He even said that now.
He admits it.
Himself to go there.
He admits it, but he made it his job, like he brushes his teeth. He's been doing it 8-9 years now. He's a 62-year-old who's fitter than most people our age. He's healthy, and his only goal is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He's gonna go out 6:30. That's it.
Like clockwork. It's
right?
scheduled.
He doesn't care what he's squatting. Obviously, he lifts, and the numbers are not too significant for his day at the gym. He works hard, and then he goes home, and that's it. So he's healthy. If you see my dad and even my mom, like I said, they're more fit than most people who are in their 20s.
Well, Pops, both of them, they're more fit now at their age now than when they first started. So obviously you would think that like
they got better.
Yeah, they're older, but then they're fitter. They're getting to the point where Pops at least was getting to the point where like he was gonna just sit down and watch TV and like
they are both
mobile.
Yeah, they're both considered senior citizens, right? So that word, senior citizen. What do you think of, right? You think of someone who could barely walk, someone who's in a wheelchair, someone who's getting discount meals, right? Like, when you meet our parents, they have more energy than anybody, even probably more than us, like anyone I know, and it's inspiring, but at the same time, there's no excuse. Anyone can do it, right? And then, it's good, man. I think it's rewarding to see the people who stick to it. As a coach, as a gym owner, the success of a gym isn't how well we run a business. It's the product or the service that we offer. And I think the biggest reward is being able to be that person or have that medium to like kind of allow people to focus on themselves for an hour a day,
Yeah.
You get the moms or the people who are really busy at work. That's the best hour of their day. And for me to like take anything away from that by not giving it my all energy or my all focus is just like I don't even know a word to say. Like it's not right, So if as the owners, sometimes we can get flustered and overwhelmed. If there's ever a time where we may like showcase like a bad attitude or a poor like I said, a bad attitude, it's probably because someone's not trying hard or someone is not giving you respect of showing up on time or
not following
listening.
The gym rules.
Yeah. So then that's probably the reason why, Obviously we have our personal lives as well, but we made it a point to like let that go the second
the moment
clock
we walk
starts,
in here, it's like it's all about the people working out.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things like that we talked about that maybe not everyone knows.
Yeah.
Maybe we thought everyone knew, and I think if everyone who listened all the way through could take anything from this, mainly our members. We appreciate all our members. We get it that life gets in the way. Life is hard, right? Life is challenging, but you got to understand that that's why we're here, So we want to make that life better.
Yeah.
By means of health and fitness, and even being a nice person. There's a lot of people who aren't nice, maybe that you run into. So yeah, I think I don't know. Call this a podcast or a video or a public service announcement, but we'd like to do some more. And if you guys have any suggestions or topics or anything you want to hear from us regarding, I'm down to talk about anything, but anything fitness related, let us know, and then maybe in a couple weeks we'll do another one, and then we'll see how we go from there.
Keep it going.
All right, we done?
So let's talk about something else. We can cut it right here. But, no, we'll just cut it and add it to the end. But that's it. Yeah. Boom. One thing, so we didn't talk about like the like walking into the gym, like going over the whiteboard and stuff like that. Let's just touch on that.
All right, so a CrossFit gym is different than other gyms.
Like what could someone expect? Imagine like someone comes in, like they did their introductory sessions, and like, all right, they're coming in to the 5:30 p.m. class, and they show up like 10 minutes early. They see the other class like laying out on their backs, they're laying on the floor, passed out, look like they're dead. And then all of a sudden the 5:30, that's the 4:30 class going on, and then they see the tail end of that, and then so they walk in, and then all of a sudden they hear you say, all right, 5:30 crew, let's gather around the board. What goes on next?
So going back to how I said day one, right? For me, putting myself in their shoes, I fully understand how walking into a CrossFit gym can be intimidating for a lot of people. Guys, girls, ex-military, it doesn't matter, right? It's different. And we've had all kinds of members. So first I make it a point to introduce myself, let them know what's gonna go down. Okay, in 5 minutes I'm gonna call you guys, come to the whiteboard. I'm gonna go over the whole day, and you're not gonna understand most of what I say. Don't worry, I got you, right? When we're done, I'm gonna walk you through everything.
It seems like a new language.
Yeah. So come in, follow along, right? Listen as much as you can. The terminology, the numbers on the board, it looks like a math class. Your coach will walk you through everything. If they feel you're someone with special needs or lots of limitations, that coach may set up a private one-on-one with you, or even more than one session, to ensure that we get the basics down and you're not in an unsafe environment, for someone who's never, depending on your background, right? You could be a former collegiate football player, or you can be someone who's never worked out in their life. It does not matter. There's progressions, there's scaling options for everything that we do. So yeah, don't be afraid. Everyone that you see when you walk in was a beginner at one point, and they've all gone through the same thing. And it's our job as the coach to ensure that it's a great experience, the same experience we had our first time, and to ensure that if there's a reason for not coming back, it's not because you didn't know what was going on. It's maybe it just wasn't for you, you know. But I feel like, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated.
I think the main thing is like the afraid part is like, even though you say that, like the it's still gonna be there, you know. But just realize that we're here to guide you through, and basically, if you have any questions, we're gonna answer them. A lot of times if we don't hear anything, we assume that you know, and that's a big thing. But we try to make it we try to do our part in saying, hey, do you have any questions? You know, and I feel like we got to do that more, and then the more we do that, but still, if you have questions, if you don't want to ask in front of everyone, pull us aside, you know, send us a text message, send us a DM on Instagram, you know. I feel like all the knowledge, all the terminology on the whiteboard, that comes with time, but just as long as you're paying attention to the words, every word, you'll see words that come up over and over, a lot of acronyms like AMRAP, all that stuff. Don't feel like you need to know all that stuff right away. That comes with time. The more you see it, the more you show up, the more you'll get to know all that stuff. But the main thing is, if you don't feel comfortable asking a coach, pick out someone that's been at the gym for like, you know, a couple years. Talk to people. That's what's cool about the CrossFit community. Everyone's down to help, whether it's the coach or people that have been doing it for a while. They can help you. You know, if you don't feel comfortable asking the coach or don't feel, just ask someone. No one's gonna be like, figure it out on your own. You know, like, we're all here to get better, and that's what's cool about the CrossFit community is like, we want to see everyone get better, and we all get better together.
It's a team effort, right? Anyone who's played a team sport, a CrossFit class feels like a team practice. You know, like everyone's doing the same workout, everyone's motivating each other. There are times of chit chat, right, during lifting or whatever, but when it's time to work, everyone's working, you know. So
yeah,
it's a great experience. It's a great fitness methodology. The goal is to be healthy, to fight metabolic disease, to enjoy life, and make it the best hour of your day.
That's it.
Got anything else for today?
Just little things like, I think that's it.
That's it. Like I said, you guys have anything that you want to hear, you know, we're going to do some discussions. Maybe we'll try to bring in some guest speakers. We know a lot of people in the community. Let us know if you guys want to know about anything from us, the experts that we are in our own rights, right? So, all right.
There it is.
Oh, I got it right here.
That was good timing.
38 minutes.